Sri Abhinav Kadambi ji, Yoga in Śrīpraśnasaṃhitā, a brief overview.
Vishuddha Vijnana Ghana Swarupam Vijnana Vishranana Baddha Diksham Dayanidhim Deha Bhritam Sharanyam Devam Hayagrivam Prapadye. Can you hear me? Okay. So, as Dr. Nagaswami says, Tamil and Sanskritam are the two eyes of Lord Shiva. But I have a third eye also, that is Telugu. So, I've always been in confusion about which language to give this preface before I start, that blurb. Okay. Is it better? Okay. Higher? Okay. I'll make do. So, I'll just give the blurb in Tamil because that is the language of the space that we are in. சாதாரணமா யோகம் அப்படின்னு சொன்ன உடனே முதல்ல மனசுக்கு வர்றது இது சைவ மார்க்கமா இருக்குமோ, ஏன்னா ஆதிநாதர் தான் முதல்லங்கிறா. இது ஒரு சாக்த மார்க்கமா இருக்குமோ, லலிதா சஹஸ்ரநாமத்துல சக்கரங்கள்ல எல்லாம் சொல்றாளே அப்படின்னு கேள்விகள் வருது. யோகம் அப்படின்ன உடனே முதல்ல ஆசனம் தான் பண்ணணும் போல் இருக்கு, மூக்க பிடிச்சுக்கணும் போல் இருக்கு, இல்லைன்னா காத்துல பறக்கணும், அப்படி இருந்தாதான் யோகம் அப்படின்லாம் நிறைய பேரு நினைக்கிறா. முக்கியமா இது என்ன அப்படின்னு சாஸ்திரத்துல போய் பார்த்தாதான் இதுக்கு பிரமாணபூர்வமா என்ன ஆச்சாரியர்கள்லாம் சொல்றா அப்படிங்கறது தெரிஞ்சுக்க முடியும். பிரமாணபூர்வமா ஆச்சாரியர்கள் சொல்றது எடுத்துக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்ன உடனே ஒவ்வொரு சம்பிரதாயத்திலையும் வேற வேற பிரமாணம் எடுத்துக்கிறா, வேற வேற ஆச்சாரியர்கள் அநேகமா என்னென்னமோ சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கா. எல்லாமே எடுத்துக்க முடியாது. ஒரு சம்பிரதாயத்துல முக்கியமான ஆச்சாரியர் யார், அந்த பிரவர்த்தக ஆச்சாரியரா இருக்காரோ அவர் என்ன சொல்றாருங்கிறது பார்க்கணும். அதனால இப்போ ஸ்ரீ சம்பிரதாயத்துல முக்கியமா இந்த கடந்த சில நூற்றாண்டுகளாக யோக மார்க்கத்துல என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கா அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா அது ரொம்ப கம்மியா தான் இருக்கு. நிறைய பேருக்கு அதை பத்தி ஒன்னும் விளக்கம் இல்லை. அதை பத்தி பார்க்கும்பொழுது இப்போ ஆகம சாஸ்திரத்துல என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கா அப்படின்னு எடுத்து பார்க்கும்பொழுது, இதுக்கு முன்னாடிதான் 2 பிரசன்டேஷன் இதை பத்தி வந்துட்டு, நேத்திக்கு பாஞ்சராத்திர ஆகமம் பத்தி அனீஷ் அண்ணா பேசினார். இன்னைக்கு நித்யா அக்கா ஷீ ஸ்போக் அபவுட் இதை பத்தி பேசியிருக்கா. இந்த கிருஷ்ணமாச்சாரிய சுவாமி அதை பத்தி என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கார், ஈஸ்வர பிரணிதானாத் ஏவ அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்கார். அதை பத்தி சொன்னா என்னோட இப்போ பிரசன்டேஷன் அதுக்கு சம்பந்தப்பட்டு கண்டினியூவேஷன் அப்படின்னு நினைச்சுக்கலாம். I didn't speak fully in Tamil though. I did use English words, but still, it's okay. I hope I'll be excused. The presentation is on yoga and Śrīpraśnasaṃhitā, a brief overview. Specifically speaking, this will be a small summary of the third adhyaya in the Śrīpraśnasaṃhitā. The Śrīpraśnasaṃhitā is a very interesting Pancharatra Agama Grantha. Of all the Pancharatra Agama Granthas, about 5 or 6 Granthas are considered very important and they are still studied and practiced in many Gurukulas. Even many Pathashalas where they teach Pancharatra Agama, we see the Śrīpraśnasaṃhitā being in vogue because it's somewhat comprehensive. Śrīpraśnasaṃhitā, Padma Samhita, all these Samhitas contain a lot of topics which are somewhat comprehensive. Many sections are not lost. That much we can say. Ananta vai Vedaha, in the same way Pancharatra Agama is also Ananta, because there are so many Pancharatra Agama Granthas, we have so many variations in what the Acharyas are saying, the Rishis are saying in each of the Pancharatra Agama Grantha. So let us look at the topic in summary. We will be looking at the introduction, then I'll be covering a brief list of topics which are covered in the Śrīpraśnasaṃhitā's third adhyaya. Then I'll very briefly discuss what are the possible areas which can be considered for future discussion, and there will be a conclusion and a future direction also mentioned here. Bibliography is not big because there's only one text which I could find regarding this subject. Obviously I don't have enough pictures, so I'll make do with what picture I got related to yoga. Yoga Narasimha Swami, which is rendered here by Dridhavrata Gorik, who's a very interesting artist. So this is Yoga Narasimha here that you're seeing, Darshana here. In the Sri Sampradaya of Ramanujacharya, we see that Bhakti and Prapatti, which is also here presented as Sharanagati, are presented as Upayas. Upayas meaning the method of what you call leaving samsara in the process of going towards the truth. And Prapatti and Sharanagati, they are known as the Mukhyopaya. Both are considered to be the same. Some people may disagree on the statement, but generally we see them as the same statement. And in the Sri Sampradaya, it is very clearly mentioned that yoga is slow and full of vighnas, obstacles. And so we generally don't prefer taking up yoga as the primary method for going towards Vaikuntha, Sri Vaikuntha. We generally take up a lot of other methods in order to go towards Sri Vaikuntha, that is moksha. This is seen reflected even in the Pancharatra Agama Shastra, and that is precisely why we need to look at the Pramanya of Pancharatra Agama Shastra. The Pramanya of Pancharatra Agama Shastra has been already established by Alavandar Yamunacharya, and then we have Udayavar Ramanujacharya, and then we have Swami Deshkan, Vedanta Deshikacharya. And post these three important acharyas, we find other acharyas also briefly hinting at these concepts from the Pancharatra Agama. The Pancharatra Agama Shastra contains many interesting subjects, including methods of practicing yoga, and wherever they are presenting the concept of yoga, immediately following that, usually they will say, if you are unable to practice yoga, you can pursue moksha through bhakti and prapatti. This is always been seen in the Pancharatra Agama Granthas. Within the past century, we see that there's a lot of confusion. They take up yoga as some health and wellness fad. They try to make business out of it. You will see different people giving different interpretations. Some of them will say that yoga does not have any religion. I don't know what you're thinking. I'm not making any political statements here. I'm being very clear. These are the statements which are popular these days. They sell. They'll get more views. They'll get more hits and subscriptions. So they say all this. But we should be very clear about the fact that according to us, in our Darshana Shastra, we are very clear about yoga being one of the Astika Darshanas, and it is very beautifully integrated in all these different systems. And many people use yoga as Udara Nimitta. They actually use this as a profession and try to make a living out of it. So even if you want to learn yoga these days, one session will cost you around 1,000 rupees minimum in India. So in India, that's the situation right now. It used to be taught for free. I was having a conversation with Nagaraj Garu a few weeks ago, and he was telling me how you get lessons on yoga on the platform, just in small, what do you call, very low quality paper. They get it for 10 rupees, 20 rupees. Now we are selling the same books for 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, and sometimes very special editions with gold and platinum inlays, and then they sell it for lakhs of rupees altogether. So this is how they are trying to commodify yoga, and they're making a lot of money out of it. When we go into Śrīpraśnasaṃhitā, we see several different topics covered. Just one adhyaya, totally close to only 100 shlokas, which is coming close to the same volume as the Yoga Sutras of Maharishi Patanjali, where we see either 195 or 196 sutras there. Here it is around 100 shlokas. So approximately the same number of lines. I'm not saying the same, approximately. So we see in the starting of the adhyaya where Lakshmi Shri is asking Sriman Narayana on what is yoga, and Sriman Narayana explains to Shri that there is something which can be used to go beyond my Maya. So for that I will teach you yoga. So it's very clear. Yoga has a purpose to go beyond Maya. This is what he is saying. And then he gives adjectives. Several interesting adjectives are seen for the word yoga, the whole method. And the purpose of yoga has also been explained there. So Kaivalya is given so many adjectives, so many epithets are being mentioned. It's a list of some 7 to 8 different words. And Mumukshu clearly must practice yoga along with jnana. That much is clearly established in a few 2 or 3 shlokas. Without jnana, yoga should not be practiced. Without yoga, jnana cannot be practiced. Jnana cannot be realized. It cannot be fructified. So all this is very clearly mentioned. And the object of yoga, when they talk about this, there Sriman Narayana himself is saying that the Acharya Sambandha is very important. The Acharya must give the Upadesha of yoga and jnana together. And there we see that the concept of jnana is being explored. The description there is regarding Saguna Brahmovasana. And that is the technical term these days that we use for it. But there, what you call Paramatma Swarupa is being described there, and you have to do dhyana on Perumal and only then move forward. And then the types and different elements of yoga are mentioned. You see mantra yoga, laya yoga, parichaya avastha, and nishpatti avastha. These are all mentioned. It's not very clear. It seems like it was a work in progress. Perhaps there are several shlokas which are missing in the text. Textually speaking, there may be a few shlokas missing from this adhyaya. And then there is a method of mantra yoga mentioned. It's a japa of a mantra along with the matrikas for a total of 12 years, after which there is a siddhi of the yoga. Whatever is the goal of the sadhaka will be realized. But there is also one extra caveat which is mentioned there, which says this is for the dullard, the lowest practitioner. So if you're going to do mantra japa with the focus of attaining the siddhis, then it is the lowest order of yoga. And then he goes on to explain what is the method of laya yoga. Basically, if you want to summarize it, it is nididhyasana. Always thinking about Bhagavan throughout the day. All activities you do, you are constantly dwelling on Sriman Narayana. And then he goes on to say Hatha Yoga. What is Hatha Yoga? In one recension, there is one interesting word used instead of Hatha. It says Hamsa. So Hatha Yoga is one way to call it. Hamsa Yoga is also another word which is seen in the manuscript. Okay, fine. So there are so many different interesting concepts which you can find in the entire Adhyaya. I will be skipping. There's no other choice. So there's one interesting subject which I would like to talk on before we come to a close. The last concept here on this slide, that is the 19th one, the rejection of showmanship. It is very controversial. Many people try to showcase their skills as what you call skilled practitioner of asana. They try to take different pictures so that they can post on Instagram and other social media platforms. They try to showcase that yoga is purely a physical skill, a physical prowess. It's all based on the contortion of the body. So it's not a circus skill. It's something beyond circus. That is what we all must understand. And this has been explained there very beautifully in a series of shlokas in this adhyaya. So clearly Sriman Narayana is saying showmanship must not be practiced, or showmanship is strictly forbidden. And if you go to the Yoga Sutras also, we see parallels to this, how showmanship should not be done. I mean, I'm obviously very sad that I have very little time. We can discuss all this later personally. And I'll not be doing all of this. There are so many topics which we can see, but there's one interesting topic that we can explore in the future, especially because we had a discussion on Pancharatra Agama and also Acharya Tirumalai Krishnamacharya Swami's concept on what is Ishvara Pranidhana. There we see a lot of the lessons that were taught and practiced by Acharya Tirumalai Krishnamacharya were all very commonly found in the specific adhyaya that I am presenting to you. And it will need a lot of further study to understand what he has tried to share with the world. There are a lot of things which he has not shared with anyone. All of these can also be found in this adhyaya. I have also deliberately not presented it in my paper, which will come in the final draft. I mean, I'm saying that I will not present it in the final draft also. So, the conclusion is that we have so many different things happening all over the world, especially the corruption of the concept of yoga. We need to understand that yoga is not purely Shaiva, Shakta, or something that only Western people can sell back to us. It is something which is having a close, intimate relationship with other sampradayas, especially the Vaishnava sampradaya. And we need to understand that there are a few modern day, at least there used to be a few modern day purely traditional Vaishnava acharyas who practiced and taught yoga in the sampradayika way. We had Yogacharya Sri Tirumalai Krishnamacharya. So hopefully we will learn a lot from all these different teachers, and we will also make progress. There's only one text I used for bibliography. There's not much of work done in this domain. I would like to invite scholars, if you are interested in working on this. There's a lot of scope for working in this domain. And I close here. Dhanyavadaha. This is Yogishwara and Geetacharya Parthasarathi Swami, the presiding deity of the temple at Tiruvallikeni in Chennai. Thank you. Namaste.